the Know Your Gear podcast.
Hero of the day says, hey, you ever happily overpaid for a piece of gear you just loved? All the time. All the time. So let me read the rest of yours, and then I'll give you my answer. I got a Rittenhouse Strat a year ago, definitely overpaid for the brand I had never heard of, but I just love it, and I had to have it. I overpay for gear, I would say on average more than I underpay for gear by far, which is why I hyper-focus. What I've learned, everybody's gonna have a different philosophy on this. Here's what I've learned. Sometimes they have what you want and they won't budge. Sometimes people are nuts. They're just nuts, but they have what you want. So a good example is like, they have the guitar I want, they have the color I want, and the weight I want. No one will pay for this because most people don't have weird hangups like I might have about like, I want the guitar to be a certain weight or I want it to be a certain color. And they're not budging on the price and they're just not going to budge. And so I go like, I want it. So I pull the trigger. It's why I try to find a deal when I can, because what I kind of look at is an overall thing. So, I kind of look at it as overall. So I will, I put all my purchases into an Excel spreadsheet. All the guitars I ever bought, they go in this sheet. And I go, this is what I paid. And then if I got rid of it, I go, this is what I sold it for. And this is what I lost, or this is what I netted. And, this is what I gained. And I'm talking about more personal than I am the business side, but definitely personal for sure. And I do that just because, again, I'm trying to figure this out. So yeah, it happens a lot that I overpay all the time. And so the way I justify overpaying is because I underpaid somewhere else. I kind of look at it. I think maybe that's just what Sean says. The IRS wants to see the sheet. Trust me, the IRS sees everything. There's one thing I know: I'm paying enough taxes. When I say enough, I'm sure they could find a reason to pay more, but we pay a lot. I pay a lot. It's insane. So, anyways, back to paying and underpaying, overpaying. The reason I do that is because it helps justify. It's nice when I buy a guitar. Let's say it's everywhere's asking $1,000, and I got into it for $600, and I'm like, oh, it's a good deal. And then it's a lot easier to justify the whole. Like everybody's asking, 12 for this guitar, and this guy wants 15 or 16, and he just doesn't budge. It happens all the time. So the problem is that when you overpay, what I tend to do is go, okay, and I have a bunch of guitars that I happen to me all the time about. I'll go, all right, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to overpay for it. But I know going into it how long I have to sit. Like, in other words, if I get this guitar, if you're so inclined to be in this situation, not everybody is, okay? It took me a long time to get to a situation to tolerate this kind of craziness, which is I buy a guitar, I probably overpaid. I have a guitar where I overpaid $1,000 for it. $1,000 over what it's worth. I cannot get anything close to what I paid for it right now. And I don't love it. And I'm not going to sell it because no one's going to pay me what I paid for it. So luckily for me, when I bought it, I knew two things. One, I might not like it, which it's not that I don't like it. I'm just not in love with it. And two, I might have to sit on it for 5 to 10 years. And I don't even know in 5 to 10 years if it's going to be worth what I paid. I just think it'll be closer. So it happens. It just happens. So yeah. Now, most of the time when I overpaid, I was more than happy in the idea that I got it and I was like, okay, this is exactly what I wanted and it's really great. So it happens to all of us. Yeah. You guys, it's funny. Windsurf Maui says, when he says IRS, he means your wife. In other words, my wife's looking. My wife does not care what I spend on guitars, at all. I wish. Look, she's done some podcasts with me. If you guys go to the second channel, you can watch them. They're audio only. She will only do audio only. Kevin wants to know: have you ever had to fix ramen noodles for dinner for the sake of a gear purchase?
Okay, so I've had to fix Tom ramen for dinner, but not for the sake of gear purchases. So,
yes, when we were poor,
when we were first starting out, we did not have very good jobs, and we did not,
and no resources,
and no backups, no savings, no credit card power, no None of that. So yeah. So there were, but actually not so much ramen, maybe a little bit of ramen, but lots and lots of noodles and
chicken noodle soup
and a lot of noodles. We ate a lot of noodles, pastas.
Yeah, because you can buy a big thing of chicken bone broth or broth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you buy a big thing of like the egg noodles. Mm-hmm. That was like nothing. You throw that in there, and then you start with some chicken, and then as we ate it, then the next day we had more broth and more noodles. By the third day eating chicken noodle soup,
it's just
mostly
noodles.
just noodle soup. It's noodle soup, but it had chicken in it at one point.
It did.
So it's kind of there. But if anything, so basically, the easy part to understand is this. So when we were broke, we were poor. I didn't buy any gear, none. Didn't buy strings, didn't buy anything, because we were broke.
And I would fight him to not sell his stuff so that we didn't have to. Like I would be as creative as I could be so that he didn't have to sell his guitars.
Yeah, and that would be the funny thing. So Kevin, to your point, have we ever had to eat ramen because of a piece of gear? If anything, I would probably be more likely to sell a piece of gear,
so we wouldn't
have to eat ramen. Again, I love this stuff. This stuff matters a lot to me. But music is first. Like, it's just about music. I mean, if I had one guitar tomorrow, I would still be super happy, right?
Right. I think one guitar, one amplifier, you'd probably be pretty good.
And here is the oddest thing. This is a great question because it actually is an interesting. Hopefully, this answer will be interesting to you because she's here and she can confirm it and maybe even explain a little bit more. I have a really huge desire to learn and check out new things, new pickups, new guitars, new things. Like a lot of us, right? You're just curious, what's next? What else? That being said, I don't have to own anything to have that experience. Owning things, especially on the YouTube channel now, is more about, that's how I physically get it here to do the content, is I buy it. But before, I would just go to music stores and hang out 4 hours.
Yes. When we were broke, that's what he would do more than anything. And there were times where I was just like, no, I'm not going to go because I know you're just going to spend hours, noodling or doing whatever you wanted to do or talking gear or whatever. So, yeah, when we were at our brokest, he would just spend time, I think, in music stores more so than buying things.
Yeah, that's where I would learn.
Yeah.
Go there and ask questions, check out things, try different things, do different things. And so I've never had a huge compulsion so much to own all this stuff. In fact, that's like my music store and a repair business was perfect as well because I'd cycle through the stuff. I'd be able to get my experience of it, check it out, play it, feel it, learn about it. I would love a world if the channel would just have a huge access point to product.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have to spend all this money because I don't really want to own it. In fact, that's what she's talking about all the time. It's here all the time because we'll buy a guitar, I'll do the video, and then I have to now wait until the perfect time to sell it to kind of recoup, right?
Yeah.
So I would...
I'm actually negotiating more deals at this point, and so part of what I'm looking to do is if they will loan us the stuff, and then it goes back, because we just don't have. I mean, space is going to be an issue for probably ever for us, as we just don't have the space. Yeah. So
this is what's crazy. Most companies don't want to loan you stuff; they want you to keep it.
As part of your payment.
As part of payment, but also they want you to keep it because they'll get future advertising out of it. So,
right.
Of course, it's like return on investment for them is they're going to keep getting their product in front of an audience. And my problem is I don't like the optics of selling the stuff because it's not really fair to them because I'm not selling it because I don't like it. I'm selling it because I did my thing and I'm done. So I hope that answers. I hope that's was a good answer to that question, especially since we have Shauna here to get more kind of a detailed look at it.
She's very upfront about this. Like I said, look, she was in the public for 13 years at the store. Everybody who's a customer of the store knows my wife very well. She ran the lesson program. I've said this before. She ran the lesson program at the store, which is more important than the store because in the idea what I'm about to explain. because hundreds and hundreds of students came every week. Right. And so over the years, thousands of students have transacted through this lesson academy, and they know my wife. So if we go to the grocery store, my wife gets more recognized, or as recognized, I'd say almost as much as me, from YouTube. Like people go, oh, it's the guy from YouTube. But every time I get that, my wife will be like, hey, it's Mrs. Mcknight. And they know her from the store. The sad thing is that half the time my wife's in shock because she doesn't know who's talking to her, because it's usually somebody who came to our store when they're 13 and now they're in college. And she doesn't recognize. She's like, "Oh my God, there's no way you're Billy," right? Whatever. But anyways, my point is, from that experience, which she does not dislike, by the way, she just does not want more of that, and that's what she's learned. She's like, "I don't need to be recognized anywhere I go, even if it is because of a lowly, YouTube status thing." But my point is, so she'll do audio only podcasts. You can listen to them on the second channel. They're totally free. You don't have to be a patron. We do them from patrons, and then we give them to the second channel. The reason I tell you that, she'll explain to you in detail what she cares about and doesn't care about when I spend. Why you guys would care about that, I don't know. Maybe you'd want your wives to hear it. I don't know either. But my wife is the first one to say something when somebody says, like, you don't need another guitar. My wife will explain why guitars, in my wife's opinion, and I don't know I'm speaking for her, but it's true. In my wife's opinion, buying guitars is a good thing. Because of what I said. Yeah, I've lost money on guitars. She'll tell you, because I've showed her, and she's seen it over the years, and she knows, because like I said, she's dealt with all this crazy people, because she worked in a store dealing with all of us. She can tell you that overall, worst case scenario is almost net flat. Like you just don't lose money on guitars for the most part. You just don't, especially as you get good at, not good at buying guitars, but as you get good at figuring out what really matters, to you, so notice how I'm speaking now. And this is very important. A lot of people don't understand. There's guitar flippers. There's people who make money buying and selling guitars, especially in the vintage market. I'm not talking about getting good at buying a guitar and selling it for money. What I mean by you refine your ability to not sell your guitars, to keep them. See, she's learned it. Remember, she's known me since I was 13 years old. So what she's learned is, as I've learned more about guitars over the years, the guitars I purchased slowly don't get flipped as much, because I've refined exactly what it is I'm looking for. So, Sean says she doesn't care because you're not broke. What's funny is that, Sean, you would really enjoy what she has to say about that. I almost don't want to tell you what she was specifically asked that question on the second show, on the other channel. She was specifically asked, when I bought guitars when we were broke, what she thought about that. She'll tell you. I don't want to give you the guys the answer, but it was a great answer. I didn't expect her to say it. But anyways, back to refining. Like I said, you kind of learn what it is you want, and then they stick. The one thing that's funny is this, and I always say this just to be clear, because I love hanging out with you guys. I love being part of a guitar community, and I love making content for everybody. The one thing that I always kind of want to reiterate, sorry about that, with everyone is that sometimes my YouTuberness, the making content for a living, and me as a guitar fanatic, they blend together, and it confuses people. So here's what I will tell you guys that's interesting. If you go and look at my first videos, take the first 20 videos that I made on YouTube, 99% of the gear that's in those videos still here today. You'll still see it on the channel. You still see it in the background. It's here. The gear that's rotating all the time, it's the gear that I'm using to make content with. That's what really goes. So a lot of people are like, you sell a lot of your guitars. Not really. Almost all my personal guitars they're here. They're still here. My copper Strat's still here. My green Strat's still here. My original Parker's still here. My original Les Paul's still here. My Mira's still here. My 68 Princeton's still here. My Mark V 25 Mini's still here. I mean, it's most of the stuff I stick with. I've been sticking with stuff for a decade, no problem. So again, it's just, but before in the time, besides, financial issues. I mean, sometimes, like I've told you guys, sometimes I had to sell everything because of financial issues. That happens. And then hopefully as you get older, that's less of that, but not always the case. But that's a different scenario than what I'm talking about. So if you like this clip and you'd like to watch another one, you can click right here. And if you want to see the entire episode of the podcast, you can click right there. As always, thank you for your time and know your gear.